How's about those Eh? Well, they did go to the cave, so there's that. So let's set the scene for how it played out. The party was sucking sponges at the little Harkthwack when they got an incredibly cheesy call to come join the emergency rescue. Mission: find the survivors of a downed airship to learn the prophecy they were returning with. It was a very ham-fisted opening on my part that failed to hit any tone or mark I'd really been hoping for beforehand. Dark fantasy world, severe yet realistic, alien fantasy realm, mostly more like a JRPG. After a lot more dice rolls than necessary, I remembered how these OSRs play best. Without a whole lot of skill check calls. And we carried on through the hexes without much in the way of a crawl. I figured I'd wing the exterior mechanics, and it's simply been too long since I'd done a hex crawl like that, and more or less wound up falling flat. Things did get good in the caves, though. I always ask players for feedback after a session, so I'm not making it up here. I can have their feedback reference to back it up. The party slided the whole encounter with relative ease. Just how much ease? Well, simple premise. Enter cave, kill bad guys, rescue hostages. Hey, you a bad enough dude to rescue the president? Package acquired and achievement unlocked, the group dipped back to the edge of the brack. They met some NPCs they'd come here with, but not enough to safely traverse the brack without running into some sort of trouble from opportunistic beasts like rattle runners. They decided to pass off the prophecy to their bird person and hold back for others after learning there was a creepy band of bandits after them. More on those guys later. Faced with the dilemma of whether to brave the wilds or hold a position, they choose to hold position, so I give them a general spawn zone of the expected pursuers so they consider where to deploy when deploying. One feedback I get a lot when running defense rounds is that the less information you give people, the less engaging it is, because they really can't set up a plan and then have the satisfaction of it working out. As distinct from an ambush where they have to take their surroundings in as the attack goes down, where it's alright for them to pop out of nowhere. Two of the warriors, well, one partial mage, partial warrior, and one partial expert, partial warrior, took up position close behind the brack line, further to the south, near the engagement zone. The full warrior archer gets up behind the brack, closer to their NPCs they have deployed almost in this World War I trench. And the full mage healer, well, actually I think they're half and half mage, milk and creamer. Yeah, he did something interesting, notably. He had a spell which allowed him to dissolve all plant matter within a 10-foot cube. Placing this in the core of a thick brack cluster behind the line of people dug in behind the regular low-lying brack, they were able to create a cube bunker within the core of this brack, just slagging it away and creating this, I used like a white cement texture, but just fucking like hidey hole, completely obscured, 10 feet deep. You hop down in there to fire out or like throw throwing daggers. They had to get up on a little ledge that they whacked. It was very secure, very nice use of a spell. You only get one spells per day for like several levels in this system. They mostly get by with weaker things called arts. So when he heals them, he's not casting a spell, he's using an art. Because the spell point system called effort, it kind of splits the difference on Vancian and spell points. I lied earlier, both about not talking about mechanics and that it was pure Vancian or bolted on. It's pretty well thought out. But yeah, with that position, some NPCs had a good place to shoot from, and he was able to rush out heal at his leisure, or theoretically would be. We're only talking about what happened in this session, and there wasn't any fighting. Yeah, I didn't wind up really properly able to go through things. We ran at once under and over time. I wasn't ready to trigger the fight and didn't have time for it anyway, so the pacing felt a bit off. Like there should have been a more impactful cliffhanger or a better lead to the action. These boys, though, they're called the Masquerade, but I'll leave the details of them for the next video. Speaking of, this format is going to take a change. After eliciting extensive viewer feedback, it's clear to me that people want this in one video, not two, so this is the end of the AB format. From here on, it should be a clean, one per session split down the middle on my pre-game prep and post-game reflections. So you're only going to have one YouTube video per session that I run. if you're watching for the future, the playlist should prove whether or not I'm a dirty liar, a dirty fucking liar, dude, or not, an easy glance. But I suspect this will work to make the videos more accessible and sustainable. Speaking of accessible and sustainable, have you heard of me? I'm Lee, Quadcore on Twitter, and here on DieselShot, we prepared, recorded content, but mostly live stream content on twitch.tv/DieselShot. We play all sorts of games, Dungeons and Dragons, Alien RPG, our own Change Star system, and more. We also just love to hang out and have fun with our community. So whether you're here for the excitement, the thirst trap that is me, or just the love of the game and tabletop and seeing things from another perspective, seeing how other people run the game, experience high def, hard work put into virtual tabletop performance, we've got something for you. And if you want exclusive gameable content and early access to these Final Cut videos, you can support us on Patreon and support our artist Pat on her Patreon. They will be somewhere on the screen. I am bad at editing. Thank you so much for coming out. Keep dreaming, dreamers, and maybe you'll support us as a cubist someday soon.